Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Connecticut at your service. We come to you live each Tuesday at 6:30 where we feature individuals that are turning their passion into a purpose through their business. Our goal is to help empower, entertain, and engage and share stories of growth, stories of community, and stories about how businesses start. Today, I have the awesome pleasure of inviting and having my friend Jeff Roy join me from Sound Coffee. Jeff, how are you?
Hey Carmen, I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Oh, this is so exciting. So Jeff and I are at the UB Accelerator Small Business Program. So we're gonna just kind of like start off. And today we're gonna be talking about coffee. And I will tell you, I cannot start my day without a cup of coffee. I don't know what it is, and you got to have it just like a certain way. And I want you to tell me a little bit about why coffee, why now?
Why coffee, why now? Well, so many reasons, but I've always been passionate about coffee. It started when I was probably 12 years old, and my grandmother gave me some coffee and some milk and some sugar, and since then I've been hooked. And through my life, I've worked for some coffee companies, including Starbucks I worked through as I went through college. But it's just something that I've always had a passion for. It's always been connected to my family. And yeah, like anything that you're excited about, it snowballs and it gets out of control quickly.
Well, I love that. Yeah. So I know that you have a little spot where you do kind of your brewing and all that. That's right here in Bridgeport. Tell us where that's at.
Yeah, that's right. So we started, I'll take a step back. We started this project 3 years ago, and it really started about sharing the experience of roasting my own coffee with my neighbors. After working for many years, traveling on the road, going to many different cities, I lost connection to my community. Mm-hmm. And so this was a nice way for me to have something to share with that community and start to meet a lot of the neighbors. And we immediately got great feedback about the coffee, and we started to just put a quick website up and sell it to people. And then we did farmers markets. And now we're at the point where we're going to open our first brick and mortar. So this allows us to get out of roasting out of the house into a real facility with a retail storefront that everybody can come in and join and
in the heart of the community.
In the heart of the community. So
we've got a little slide that actually has your location, your website. So just read it for us, Jeff.
Yeah, so we're opening up at 2040 Main Street in Bridgeport. So we're nearly done construction. We'll be opening soon, so stay tuned to our website and our social media for our grand opening announcement. But yeah, we find this is a great location. It's in North Main Street, just on the other side of 8 from downtown, in a great community with lots of different shops and lots of different restaurants. And so we're really happy to bring our coffee there.
I loved, and I mentioned to you, I said when I saw your website and you had sent me some slides and things, and I love that it said roasting coffee, brewing harmony. Tell me a little bit about why that's your tagline, because I love it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about community already a couple times, but this is really our connection to a community. There's nothing better than sitting down with somebody, having a cup of coffee and having a conversation, whether that's in your home, at a diner, or at a coffee shop. So we really think a cup of coffee can bring people together and start brewing that harmony that we also need.
And it does.
Yeah.
Best conversations on a ride, getting coffee and just bonding. Sandra, who that's really like we were going to a class and we went for 3 days. And during that we were, talking, and it was coffee, and you really do. There's something that happens in that bond.
And it happens across the world. I mean, there's amazing ceremonies in Ethiopia where people break out, equipment, and they sit around a fire and they brew the coffee there. Every location across this planet, you can just find conversation and community around coffee.
And they make it special, right?
That's
right. Before we get into your blends and things, I whipped up this little slide here with your help, and I really want you to tell me, because you have just such a great starting up story that you just got to share. So I'm going to ask you, what happens when a hobby takes off, Jeff?
Yeah, so it's very it's a very great story. So when I first started dating my now wife, who's a co-owner in this business and a tremendous help in everything that we do, her mother gave me a little gift. Her family doesn't drink coffee at all. My wife has never had a cup of my coffee.
What?
Even
Sarah,
though
we got to talk about that.
she's a great help of the business. But her mother knew it was something I was passionate about, and she found a kit where you could roast your own coffee at home. And so that was about 15 years ago. And you know, all you need is a little bit of heat. The beans come green to us from all over the world, and you basically are trying to turn them brown. And so you can do that in a skillet, you can do that in the oven, or as I did, do it in an air popper. So what you see there in the graphic is that air popper that we all probably had in our house growing up, but that can actually roast coffee. You're taking those green beans, warming them up to about 400 degrees.
And they're now brown.
And then now they come out brown, and then you can, brew them up and brew that coffee right away. So we got to learn a lot about the process of coffee. Where does it come from? How is it grown? And kind of the way how it gets to your end doorstep. When you go through the drive-through or to the diner and you would pick up that cup of coffee, it's really take a moment to think about, how did this get here? How did all the hands that touched it, all the ways that it got to me, is really, really fascinating to me. Yeah.
So on these pictures, so that's the air popper that you were talking about. What are the other pictures that are here?
So what you see there on the right upper corner there, that's the back of our brand new building at 2040 Main Street. So we have a front as well that's painted that same color. In the middle there, that's when you walk into our front door. So we called it Sound Coffee for 3 reasons. One, because we're on the Long Island Sound, and so that's a big part of our town, big part of our community. Mm-hmm. But we also want to be environmentally sound. A lot of what we do in our practice of roasting coffee and bringing it to the consumer, we make sure that we're thoughtful about it and reduce as much carbon footprint as we can possibly. And then I love music. I've grown up with music in my life, with my family, and so we're incorporating that element of sound into everything we do. In fact, we play music as we roast the beans. So the beans, as they're going around the roaster, they're dancing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that, so just really quickly so we could take the graphic down, that's the store, and then these are your blends, right?
That's
right. And
it
looks like there's 3 that are here with us. But there's actually more. How many different blends do you make?
Yeah, so we rotate in and out. So coffee, like every crop, has a season, and depending on where it comes from in the globe, it has a different season. So we're always rotating the things that we have in and out. And we do kind of 2 major things. The first thing is that we feature coffees from a farm or from a country. And so we'll label it as such, giving attribution to the farmer of what they have and what they're bringing to us. And so, like here, you see our Costa Rican coffee.
So we're going to take the graphic down because I just love it, and I was so mesmerized just by the whole speaker wall. So, and we're going to talk a little bit about. So what you were talking about was kind of like what it takes to be sound practice and the things that you're doing. And you started mentioning your actual coffee, and we're like, take a look at this, and it wasn't up. So I want you to just take it from there.
Yeah. So we'll wind it back. So there's two main things we deliver. One is our coffee that comes from origin. So this happens to be an example of a coffee that comes from Costa Rica, where we give mention to the farm that gets used and the exact locale. That allows us to feature that farmer, feature that country, and really show the product that they have. Costa Rican coffee is very delicious. But again, depending on where you are in the world, you might be in Sumatra, which is part of Indonesia. They have a very different tasting coffee. So we want to bring all those interesting flavors to people. But just like wine, sometimes a winery decides to blend the different types of grapes together. We do the same with coffee, where we can take a couple different locations of coffee, blend them together, and bring an even new flavor out to market. And so one of our blends here is our Stratfield Village blend, which is a dedication to our neighborhood that we're restarted. We also have a Park City blend coming out as well to give it some credence to our city that we're in Bridgeport.
I love that.
And an important part of those 2 blends in particular is a portion of those proceeds go to local charities and local organizations. And again, that's part of our Giving Back program, every quarter we pick a different organization to work with. We promote them and we try to drive additional money for all their fundraising activities.
I love that. Tell me a little bit more about your Park City blend.
Yeah, so
I feel like I really want, I mean, you almost have like an ownership to it, you know, because this is our city, so.
This is our city.
Why is that special?
We're really happy to be in Bridgeport and have that location. It's really part in commemorating our launch of our new facility. And so it's our first new coffee in our new building, and it's a mix of Papua New Guinea, Ethiopian, and Brazil. So we're bringing together a bunch of different flavors and tastes, and it also represents a lot of the makeup of our community that's near us. We have a big populations of Brazilians, and so they're really happy that they get to experience coffee from their home country.
I love that. And our guests can't smell, but it smells so good.
Yeah.
So good. So you talked a little bit about kind of how you turned your passion into a business now. And tell me about how you met your wife. And first of all, tell me how you met her, and then we're going to have, because we have her picture.
Yeah.
And I do, even though she hasn't drank your coffee, she is such an awesome salesperson, because I fell in love with her when she did the pitch.
Yeah.
That you guys won what? Was it first or second?
We did win first prize on a pitch contest that my wife did.
Yeah, and she was wonderful. I was like, oh my God, I'm texting you. I'm texting you. I'm like, God, I think your wife is great.
Yeah.
So tell me about your kind of like love story, basically, because you love coffee and you love her.
Well, first, she is tremendous. She is really great, and I'm really happy to be on this journey with her. But yeah, I moved down to Connecticut 8 years ago in New Hampshire, and that's where we met, and we got married up there. Kind of the short, funny story is that we lived in the same apartment building for nearly 2 years without actually meeting each other. We were just 50 feet away from each other, and so it took a party from mutual friends that actually brought us together. And yeah, we fast knew that we were going to be friends and lovers, and so we got married, and yeah, we started our family there. We have one boy, Ben. Ben is contributing to the business as well. He's helping put on these labels, and yeah, we're looking.
And he has tasted your coffee.
He has tasted coffee. Like many things, he has a little bit of coffee, lots of sugar, lots of milk, but yeah, he's getting there, and he's really happy to kind of participate, and he asks a lot of questions, and I'm glad it's a real thing that we can share in our family, and it does bring us together. My wife has been involved with the community for a long time. She's done things with Greater Bridgeport and the Collab Exchange here in Bridgeport, and so that she's developed this community spirit in me and taught me a lot about what it's like to live in a neighborhood, and really, I can't thank her enough for everything that she does for our family and for this business.
I just think you guys are such a great partnership. We have a picture of you both, and I want you to share your vision now that you're officially like launching.
Yeah, so we got to a point doing this out of our house, and Connecticut has a great facility where you can start a business like this, a food production, under a cottage license law. And a cottage license law is great for these incubation projects or these startup projects where you want to do a little bit of baking, a little bit of cooking, and sell that to people. Now, it's a great launching point, but you can't really run a full business out of there. There's limitations in terms of wholesaling to other businesses, shipping out of state, and even the money that you can make. So we made a choice 2 years ago to really invest in this business, invest more in Bridgeport, and launch it into a full thing. So our vision is really to kind of embrace Bridgeport and bring out the best coffee that Bridgeport's ever had. And here's a picture of us at one of our many farmers markets that we do. This is just another way that we got started. We got connected through the Nourish Bridgeport at their.
I love them.
They're great people. That was our first farmers market, and again, really got to learn more about our neighbors.
That is amazing. So when you talk about being a sound business and you're working with these growers, because I think you gave me some stats earlier that I would love for you to share about kind of the landscape of coffee in the United States and beyond.
Yeah, so coffee grows in like a really specific region around the globe. It kind of hugs the equator. The climate's got to be just right. And it's typically grown in some sort of elevation, so either on a hillside or a mountainside. And so, like anything that's a crop, it needs to be farmed. And, these coffee shrubs, they grow these little cherries that get harvested, mostly picked by hand, and then dried in some fashion, and they pull the seeds out that become our coffee beans that we roast. But, with any agricultural or really any business, not everybody upholds the best practices in terms of taking care of the earth, taking care of the workers, taking care of the farmers. And so the coffee industry has done a good job of creating distribution points where you can buy from people that make sure that there's fair wages given to people, make sure that they're not destroying the earth when they're growing the crop. And so we've worked hard to find distributors that connect us with farmers that are good in that nature.
And distributor means that they grow it.
The distributor actually is the folks that bring it into the country for us. So because we're so small, it's hard for us to do a direct relationship with a farmer. We don't have the capacity to fly to country and meet with people. So the distributors, they take care of those arrangements. They meet the farmers. They source the best products.
They vet it for you.
And then they bring it, and they happen to bring it to New Jersey, and then they get it trucked up here to Connecticut for us.
So today you have a blend. So these are folks that are actually from Brazil. So this is Brazilian coffee, Costa Rican coffee, and this one is, which is this one?
This is one of our blends, yeah. So the Brazilian coffee, this is grown in the south west part of Brazil, kind of in the mountains, not too far from Rio. I love this coffee. It's got a really nice sweet taste to it, a little bit chocolatey. It happens to be one of our most popular ones as well. It's great in iced coffee. It's great as hot coffee. So yeah, this is something that we're really happy with. And this is one coffee that we've set up a relationship with the distributor where we're committing to a long-term commitment. And that helps the farmer, that helps the distributor, and it helps us maintain that quality that we want to bring to the end consumer.
I love that, and you're definitely very knowledgeable. It's very apparent that you've had coffee for a long time. So I love that. So people that have an interest in coffee, or let me take back, because I really know the coffee that I like, and that's usually regular, really potent kind of coffee that I like with a lot of creamer in it kind of thing. But you sell many blends, right? And you have decaf too.
Yeah.
Like, what is the recommendation for coffee drinkers, type of coffee drinkers? Like, how do you know that somebody's gonna like a particular blend?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's a conversation that we have, but what I'm trying to do is make it so it is approachable, because I think anything, I'll go back to wine, there's a million bottles of wine when we walk in the store, and sometimes that's intimidating and we don't know how to approach it or find the right bottle. Well, coffee's the same way. There's a lot of choice, and sometimes it's easy to just go back to your regular one. But if you take time and kind of experience some, and so we allow people to experience in a couple different ways. On our website, where we sell a lot of our coffee and ship to your home or deliver to your home, we have a sample pack where you can easily try out a couple different flavors and then help to tune into the flavors that you like. When we have farmers markets, we often have many flavors that people can sample.
Oh, wow.
And so we can walk them through that journey. And something that's really one of my favorite activities is to give a little lecture, a little class.
Oh, I love that.
And in fact, our class on our next class part of the University of Bridgeport, we're going to deliver that to the students, where we'll have a tasting of a coffee and kind of show what are the notes to look for and how to experience it and how to taste it. But at the end of the day, it's something that you want to have in the morning to make sure you get up the right way.
I almost wore my shirt. It said, "I live for coffee, chaos, and cuss words." And I was like, I won't wear that. I showed my husband. He'll tell you this is the truth. And I was like, should I wear that? And we're like, no, don't wear that.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's just such an awesome, and it helps people. If you guys are just turning in, we're here with Jeff Roy from Sound Coffee, where he turned his passion into a business. And kind of we've been talking about what happens when a passion takes off. So one of the things that, because you've been doing this for a long time, so I imagine the one for sure advice that you would give someone is follow your passion, because that's really what, when we're starting businesses, we're filling a need, and usually that's our own, right? What might be some other advice that some lessons learned as you were growing your coffee, growing your business?
Yeah, I think definitely follow your passion. What I've learned recently moving out of the house into a brick and mortar is just a level of patience. I think Sarah has helped me a lot in this. It takes a lot to work with the city and get permits and get construction done and get equipment through. But you just have to go through the process, take it one day at a time, one step at a time, breathe once in a while, and things will happen. So yeah, it's been a tremendous journey. I've learned so much, and yeah, I can't believe what's going to happen next. Yeah.
Well, we've got a caller for you. Hello, and welcome to Connecticut at your service. Do you have a question for Jeff?
Hi, yes. So I'm kind of new to coffee, and I'm interested in basically brewing my own. What would I need to kind of start that process?
Yeah.
Can you give away your secrets?
Yeah. Well, for brewing coffee at home, there's kind of three things that I like to share. When you think about a cup of coffee, most of it is actually water. So if you're not using good water into the coffee pot, it's going to affect the taste of it. So yeah, if you can get good water, that's a good place to start. The second one is heat. So when the water goes through the grounds, it's really extracting those flavors, extracting oils, extracting the coffee, and getting the water hot enough, as close to boiling as possible, allows for a full extraction and get that full flavor. And then the third thing is just enjoy it the way you do. There's no shame in putting cream or sugar or sweet and low. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes, right? But I think the water and the heat are really the things that contribute to it. If you are wanting to take it to the next level, I definitely recommend getting a grinder at home as well. The grinder allows you to experience it as fresh as possible, right? When you buy it already ground, it has a more limited shelf life. Typically 2 to 4 weeks is the shelf life for ground coffee. And I think a lot of things that my customers experience, because they get it roasted within a week, is really feeling that freshness.
You can smell it.
That's what really knocks people's
smell it.
socks off. It's like bread. You don't want to eat bread that's 14 days old. You really want to get it as fresh as possible. And
that's awesome.
So that's just another tip. But yeah, the water, the heat, that's really going to deliver you a good cup of coffee.
Your spot that you're doing now, what are going to be because I imagine that farmers markets are like nights and weekends kind of thing where you were doing that. Yeah. What are going to be the hours that you're going to be able to have somebody serve your customers a cup of coffee?
Yeah, it's great. So we're going to definitely educate everybody what our hours are. Our main goal was to get that place off the ground, so we would stop roasting out of the house and start roasting in a facility so that we could sell to other businesses and cafes. That's primarily what I want to do. There's a lot of good coffee in Connecticut that's starting to...
I kept going there. I'm sorry, caller. We love you.
There's a lot of great coffee shops coming in Connecticut, particularly after everybody was stuck at home for a little while and they weren't commuting to New York City or whatever. They were expecting much better coffee at home. And so there's a lot of good coffee shops that have cropped up in Connecticut for that. My job and what I really want to do is make sure the other restaurants and cafes that haven't upgraded their coffee, they get great coffee as well. So that's been the primary focus. But we will have a small retail shop in the front where people can come in and buy beans and sample. It's going to be more limited hours as we're just growing and getting our footing. But yeah,
I love the whole idea of experiencing it. I was mentioning to you that Rob and Bridget were here from Fifth State Distillery,
right. Yeah.
And they have like this whole experience where they only do like selected tours based on the hours.
Yeah.
But I love that, having your girls come hang out over a cup of coffee, that you book something separate or something like that. I don't know, but I just feel like that's just such an experience. And you had sent me a picture that we didn't have here, but it's a whole brewing thing, right?
Yeah, that's the roaster. That's the roaster itself. So that's the one that takes it from green beans to brown, but it does about 15 pounds at a time. And so we can do about 60 pounds an hour. And so again, my idea is to get coffee as far and wide in Bridgeport and the surrounding communities as possible.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that's part of like what's next, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to ask is because I've had husband-wife teams that really kind of like support, and I will tell you, my husband is great. He watches my show every week.
Yeah.
He gives me feedback and everything.
What's his name?
His name is Victor.
Hi, Victor.
And you know, what makes partnerships and collaboratives work?
Oh, I mean, I guess there's so many things, but I'm just so happy that I've got a great mate. Communication obviously is very important. Yeah, and just being open and clear about what's going on and what's happening. And you know, we're balancing. This is a project that we're doing while we're working full time too, as well. And we have a family, so it's a lot. And so it's just constant communication and working things out. And you know, she's always happy to pick up things when there's too much on my plate and vice versa.
And present for you, because I thought she was great.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you form friendships, and you're like, you know, it's a team, and you respect one and you respect the other. So I just think that that's great.
Yeah.
So kind of like, what's next for you in the future with this roasting? And you know, I think we talked a little bit about before the show about a legacy.
Yeah.
Right. That really the landscape of jobs and what we want, not necessarily for us, because I feel like for you it's like a hobby that's growing, and I wish you a lot of success in it. But at the end of the day, you mentioned about, you know, wanting your son to have more of an interest and maybe really grow with the company.
Yeah, you know, I think if I really distill it down, you know, the happiness of this business comes from connecting to the community, and if I can pass that down to my son, and you know, that's a big thing. And there's a lot of lessons that he'll learn about how to run a business and how to interact with people, and he's been great. You know, he shows up at some of our farmers markets, and he works the stand with us, and he's, you know, really, you know, helping us in so many ways. So I think that's what I'm trying to pass on to him, is just these lessons of how business is done and how to really react with the community.
Jeff, as we're wrapping up, just remind us how we can reach you, find your coffee, because you do online sales.
That's right.
Right?
So you can go to soundcoffees.com, the website's right there. We roast fresh every week, and you can have that ordered to your house. We deliver in a close proximity to our shop for free. If not, then we'll ship it to you. And so that is a great way to experience our coffee. And then very soon we'll be opening our doors at 2040 Main Street in Bridgeport. And we'd be happy to have people come and see us there and visit us on some of our hours. And then we do farmers markets, you know, here and there. And so the best way to kind of catch where we're going to be is to look at our socials. So we have Instagram and Facebook at Sound Coffee Company is our handle there. You can also get that on our website as well if you're directed there.
That's awesome. So for those that have been tuning in, thank you again for joining us. We've been here with Jeff Roy with Sound Coffee, that is going to be making coffee right here in Bridgeport. So whenever they open, follow them on their website, and make sure that we're supporting. Make sure that you in particular, which is not here, but that you're looking for their new blend. What's the name of it?
The Park City Blend.
The Park City Blend. So we want to make sure, because that one is paying homage to our city that we love. So for those of us that are tuning in, we want you to come back and join us next week at 6:30. Each Tuesday, where we're looking to empower, engage, and entertain, and help you learn about individuals in our community that are moving things and giving back to the community. Follow us on our Facebook page, follow us on our YouTube, on my website, and we're going to leave you with this, how to reach Sound Coffee.
Thank you so much, Carmen.
Thank you, Jeff, for coming, and make sure you guys keep watching Sound Coffee.